In 2014, strange job listings began appearing on Craigslist across multiple U.S. cities. They weren't flashy. They didn't promise high salaries. They didn't even clearly describe the work. Instead, they asked for discretion, adaptability, and the ability to follow instructions without asking questions. Some mentioned overseas travel. Others hinted at sensitive assignments. And all of them were signed with the same name: Lake City Quiet Pills. At first, they looked like spam. Then people started replying. And that's when the story quietly slipped into something much darker. Welcome to Last Seen Online. This is an audio-first storytelling channel exploring true stories from the dark corners of the internet, where digital breadcrumbs lead to places nobody meant to reveal. Tonight's episode follows a trail that begins with Craigslist ads and ends in encrypted emails, overseas connections, and unanswered questions. This is the story of Lake City Quiet Pills. Let's follow the trail. The listings started appearing around 2013 and 2014 on Craigslist in cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York. They were posted under categories like jobs or gigs, but they didn't resemble typical employment offers. Instead of outlining responsibilities, they emphasized traits, reliability, discretion, comfort with ambiguity, and willingness to travel internationally on short notice. Some ads explicitly stated that applicants must be able to work quietly and independently. Others included phrases like "no paper trail" or "communication discipline required." The name attached to these listings, Lake City Quiet Pills, sounded more like a code phrase than a company. People scrolling past might have ignored them, but a few noticed something unsettling in the language. These weren't casual gigs. They felt operational. Those who replied didn't receive standard HR follow-ups. Instead, they were sent encrypted emails and strange questionnaires. Applicants were asked about their ability to keep secrets, follow instructions precisely, and operate in unfamiliar environments. Some were told they might be sent overseas. Others were asked about technical skills, surveillance awareness, or their comfort working without supervision. Communication was deliberately sparse. Instructions arrived in fragments. The tone felt procedural, not corporate. And then, without explanation, conversations would suddenly stop. No rejection letters, no feedback, just silence. For those involved, it felt less like applying for a job and more like being tested. Eventually, users on Reddit began comparing notes. A few people realized they had responded to similar ads in different cities. Others shared screenshots of emails and questionnaires. Patterns emerged. The same phrases appeared across listings. The same contact methods were reused. Amateur investigators began archiving posts before they disappeared, tracing email headers and mapping IP addresses. What started as curiosity turned into collective analysis. Reddit threads grew longer. People dug into domain registrations and server records. Slowly, a rough picture formed. Whoever was behind Lake City Quiet Pills was operating across multiple locations and using infrastructure that didn't look like a small freelance operation. As online investigators traced email domains and hosting providers, they uncovered something more unsettling. Some of the infrastructure appeared linked to networks previously associated with cybercrime activity. At least one server cluster overlapped with systems tied to Russian-language hacking forums. This didn't prove who was running Lake City Quiet Pills, but it raised the stakes. What looked like a strange recruitment effort now appeared connected to serious technical operations. At this point, speculation exploded. Some believed it was a private security firm experimenting with unconventional hiring. Others suspected intelligence contractors. A darker theory suggested covert operations, but there was no official confirmation of anything, just digital fragments and increasingly uneasy observers. The story took a chilling turn when investigators linked Lake City quiet pills to a man named Alexei Andreev, who had operated online services associated with digital fraud and malware distribution. Andreev was later found murdered overseas under unclear circumstances. His death added a physical world consequence to what had previously been an online mystery. Suddenly, this wasn't just about strange emails and coded job ads. Someone connected to the infrastructure was dead. No public explanation tied his death directly to Lake City quiet pills, but the overlap intensified speculation. Around this time, some observers reported that federal authorities, including the Federal Bureau of Investigation, were aware of the activity, though no official statements clarified the scope or outcome of any investigation. Despite mounting online analysis, no agency ever publicly explained what Lake City quiet pills actually was. There were no press conferences, no indictments tied directly to the Craigslist ads, no formal acknowledgement of a resolved case. Platforms quietly removed listings, email accounts went dark, domains expired or changed hands. For the people who had applied, for the Reddit users who had spent months documenting every detail, the silence felt deliberate. In intelligence work, silence can mean many things. An ongoing investigation, classified activity, or simply a lack of prosecutable evidence. Whatever the reason, the absence of answers only deepened the mystery. Over time, several theories solidified within the online community. One suggested Lake City quiet pills was a front for recruiting technical operatives for cybercrime. Another argued it was a covert intelligence operation, possibly involving contractors rather than governments. A third proposed it was an elaborate social engineering experiment designed to identify specific psychological traits. None of these theories could be conclusively proven. What remained were patterns. Carefully worded ads, encrypted communications, infrastructure tied to serious cyber activity, and a trail that ended in silence. Like many internet mysteries, the case became a digital ghost, revisited periodically by new users who stumbled across archived threads and asked the same questions all over again. Here's what we know. Craigslist ads appeared across major U.S. cities under the name Lake City Quiet Pills. Respondents received encrypted communications and unusual questionnaires. Online investigators traced parts of the infrastructure to networks associated with cybercrime. An individual connected to related systems was later found murdered overseas. Federal authorities were reportedly aware, but no public resolution was ever released. And then everything faded. The ads stopped. The emails went quiet. The domains vanished. What we don't know is who was ultimately behind it, what the recruitment was truly for, or how many people passed through the process. Lake City quiet pills didn't end with arrests or headlines. It ended the way many digital mysteries do, not with closure, but with absence. Last time we followed Alphabay, a marketplace that died twice. This time we followed a recruitment pipeline that disappeared without explanation. Next time on Last Seen Online, we'll look at a case where an entire online community tried to solve a mystery and may have gotten closer than anyone realized. Thanks for listening to Last Seen Online. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a like and subscribe for more true stories from the dark corners of the internet.